bowls. Beauty! Oh my goodness, LBW, yes! Left alone by Shubman Gill. And sure enough, England have their first wicket, and it comes from Ollie Stone. What a moment.
Ollie Stone, wow.
Broad now, oh what a stroke, overpitched by Broad.
Wow. A craftsman at work, Rohit Sharma. Beautiful.
Stokes on his way, right arm over the wicket. Rohit Sharma's hitting this through mid-wicket. I'll amend that. He's hitting it over mid-wicket.
Goes now to Rohit, that's a tall ball. That is a full toss, really old full bunger that. Sort of knee height, and he just swatted it with the sweep shot, and he's gone to 50 with it each again.
It's gone! Stokes takes the catch and slip. Cheteshwar Pujara has gone for 21.
Fifth ball of his innings.
Oh, it's bowled him! Moeen Ali's got one to absolutely rip. Virat Kohli is standing there completely dumbfounded, saying, how was that? Are you sure that has bowled me?
Nothing wrong with that, Virat Kohli. Yes, you can get bowled out by Moeen Ali. On your bike, son.
Well, what a morning we've had on the first day of the second Test match between India and England from the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. It's been all action, it's been all happening. Rather different to the experience we had over the first 2 days of the first Test match, where we had a pattern of play that followed what we've become used to on the subcontinent, where the game moves slowly, the pitch starts off very, very flat and gradually deteriorates to the point where by day 3 the game accelerates very quickly, and indeed on day 4 in the first Test match we had 15 wickets fall after just 4 fell on the first day and only 5 on the second. But goodness me, it's all happening, Matt Pryor. We've seen quite a session. And as we were saying during that morning session, 3 wickets for England after India won the toss and chose to bat first. But Rohit Sharma looks like he's playing on a different surface altogether.
He does. He's played brilliantly, hasn't he? I think he got a few loose deliveries early on that he put away very well. But since the spinners have come on, he's really shown his class. Honestly, it's not just in the attacking shots that he's played. He's looked so measured in his defence, moving his feet very, very well, and that's crucial playing against spin, particularly when it is turning. Getting forward, getting back, and then very quick onto any loose deliveries. The minute the spinners drop short, he's looked to attack off the back foot, swept very well, played that shot in particular very well. And it looks like he's batting on a different surface right now.
Gareth Baddy, I wanted to ask you actually whether you saw a role for Joe Root as a third spinner. You were talking about when the pitch is really turning and helping the spinners. He bowls he's a quick spinner, isn't he, Joe Root? And I just wonder whether you could see maybe him coming into the attack on day 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's improving all the time as a spinner. The one big thing in India, we desperately need his runs. We don't want him taking too much energy out of the tank, bowling too much. But the observation of England's spinners is that Leach is more your holding spinner, and Mo will bowl to take wickets, so he's not holding the game the same, which in the first innings is quite crucial, that we need to find a way of, yes, bowling the great balls to take the wicket, like in the one he got Kohli with, there was a beautiful piece of bowling, but it's kind of like the runs either side of it. Can we find a way of just not letting those drip and trickle into the scoreboard so we can hold it? I mean, it's so difficult to do. It sounds easy sitting here, but can you attack and defend in the same breath? Can we really hold the game and strangle the life out of the runs as well as take the wickets? And that's possibly where Joe may come into it, just to sort of dart a few in for 3 or 4 overs, then get Mo in to maybe get a wicket for 2 or 3, and then go back into holding. It's just finding those moments of control.
Yeah, I'd suggest you probably don't need to attack too much on the wicket. I think there's plenty in this wicket. You just got to put the ball in the right area, and you're getting so much assistance from the pitch. I don't think you need to chase it too much. I think the way you'll get more wickets is just putting pressure, building pressure. Don't really set you in outfields. Make sure that the fielders in the ring are alert, building pressure on the batsman, and don't give them that boundary ball, because I think batsmen, you'll know better than anyone from a spin perspective. The minute you try and bowl the magic ball, that's when you drag one down or get the full bunger or whatever it may be. So actually let's not try and bowl the magic ball. Let's just put it in the right area. Know that's going to happen. I mean, that Kohli ball was fantastic, but that was as much
it's at what
because
cost, isn't it?
Exactly, and it runs on the board are going to be crucial.
It's what the great man Shane Warne says. When it's turning a lot, just don't try your variations. Bowl enough balls in the area, you'll walk away with your bag full of wickets.
I think we all grew up in an era where it was believed that you needed substantial miles in your legs in order to play Test cricket. It's really interesting. I mean, Ollie Stone, for example, has only played 13 first-class games in the last 4 years. And Moeen Ali hasn't played a Test match for almost a year and a half. And in that time, he's only played 2 first-class games, which is remarkable, really.
I mean, it just shows the emphasis and what is available around the world, not just in an English cricket season, the amount of cricket out there. You know, Moeen plays IPL, he's played a bit, I think he's played PSL, or certainly had his name in that. There's tournaments around the world 24/7. If you want a game of cricket and you're a wonderful player like Moeen Ali, you stick your name in an auction, you'll be picked up, pal. There's just not the thirst for saying, okay, I won't do that IPL or I won't do this because I'll play some first class cricket. And I'm not sitting here now saying that they should do. I'm saying, no, go for it, lads. Fill your coffers, because the opportunity, and actually we forget, guys grow from playing some of these competitions around the world. See how other people do it. Expand your game. But it is a fraction of a worry that there isn't as much first class cricket in some of the players that maybe you would want.
Yeah, I think it just shows. I mean, just the scorecards are coming up. Moeen Ali, he's bowled nicely. I thought he's bowled good pace, good drift. He's obviously got the spin and the fantastic wicket of King Kohli. But he's going over 5 and over. And for me, that's a bit of match rustiness, finding the rhythm, being able to get into your spell and contain the batsman. He's bowled some brilliant deliveries, but too many loose deliveries. And I think that is potentially a sign of just a lack of Test match cricket, lack of the rhythm of the game, which I'm sure he will get it back into very, very quickly. But it is, for me, Test cricket's a different game. You can play all the white ball you want, but until you've had a day in the dirt, the only way to get that match readiness and rhythm of Test cricket is by playing Test cricket.
All right, we're seconds away. Jack Leach is going to bowl the first over after lunch, and India resuming on 106 for 3 with Rohit Sharma unbeaten on 80. He's had a fairly thin time of it in the last half a dozen Test matches as an opener since he was retreaded into that position. Of course, he opens in one-day cricket and has done all his career. Leach in, bowls, and Rohit comes forward and pushes it out towards extra cover. Would you say that that's the first thing that happens when you're a little bit short of red ball cricket bats? It doesn't affect your ability to bowl the beauty. You can still bowl lots of magic balls, but is it just that little creeping in of the odd bad ball? It's the ability to bowl 6 in a row in the right place. Here's Leach again outside the off stump, left alone.
I think it's exactly what Matt's saying. It's switching on to the finer points of the game. The actual bit that makes you a very good Test player are actually the nitty-gritty stuff, getting through that difficult period as a batter.
Slipping a short leg, and it's left alone. That was a quick delivery outside the off stump, and Rohit seemed to be caught slightly off guard by it, because he came out of his crease and he was suddenly a bit flat-footed. It was wide. Oh, and it kept low as well, didn't it? Gosh, it kept low.
But I think also it's understanding and championing in the real hard parts of the game, and as a bowler being really dry and not going for the runs.
Forward comes Rohit to the next one, pushes it away behind square. You know what? That was a quicker one from Leach. It kept low, and it still landed in Ben Foakes' gloves like a marble in soft butter, didn't it? Amazing hands. 106 for 3. Short leg slip. Joe Root brings everybody in 5 yards. A couple of boundary fielders came in as well, actually, outside the off stump here once again, and there's no run. Why did he pull long on and long off and saving one?
Batters have got to start again, haven't they? It's I mean, sorry, I'm just looking at a replay now. It looks like there's bowlers' foot marks smack in the middle of all 3 on a good length.
Exactly. Driven here out towards cover, but straight to Sibley, and there's no run, and the over comes to an end. It looks like the pitch is damaged, on a length in front of the stumps.
It's almost like the spinners and all the spinners from both sides have got together 2 days ago and said, right, lads, let's go and draw a square on the pitch of where we all want to pitch it, and let's scuff it up and make sure that it's really disturbed and rubbish to bat on.
Just on Moeen Ali and his figures, he is going at over 5 and over, but don't forget that Rohit Sharma scores at 4.8 runs and over against Ospin at the best of times, and he was sort of already chugging away by the time that Moeen Ali came on. So I don't think it helped as well that they didn't have a deep backward square out, so he could sweep freely when he first came on. So I don't think Moeen's doing quite as bad as perhaps his figures look.
Well, do you think England didn't have a deep square in order to make Rohit sweep, because he doesn't sweep very often? So that maybe their analyst is saying, get him sweeping, because he doesn't do it very often, he'll make a mistake.
So I've got my theory is that if you sweep more than 5% of the time against spin, that you're a sweeper, and Rohit Sharma is right on the 5% cut-off mark. So I would say he is a sweeper, but perhaps they were saying, let's bowl outside off stump, try and get the top edge. But as Matt pointed out, they didn't have a short fine for the catch.
Right, didn't have a man there. Okay, on the 45. That's driven by Ajinkya Rahane as Ollie Stone starts the second over after lunch. Ollie Stone bowled beautifully with the new ball and trapped Shubman Gill LBW before India had a run on the board. A 27-year-old. As I said, he's played 13 first-class games in the last 4 years since his move from Northants to Warwickshire. That's flicked away down towards leg gully and very well fielded. It was along the ground. Joe Root diving to his left. England have got 2 men behind square on the leg side now.
Putting you on the spot, Manners, how many wickets has he taken in those games? Because I reckon it'd be an absolute bucketful.
55 at 16.
Steady. And he's showing that. He's come into this game and it looks like he's been playing Test cricket for the last 3, 4, 5 years. He's just hit his good lines, his good lengths, good pace, little bit of movement. He looks like the comfy armchair in the corner of the room that's been there for years. He really does.
Bit quicker than the comfy armchair, more like the office chair on wheels. He's got bowling with proper pace at the moment. Here he is once again, and Pujara pushes that out on the offside, no run.
This is another good challenge for him because, we saw him steaming with the new ball, something he'd be accustomed to and used to. This is now a new challenge, coming in after lunch, the ball reversing. England will be looking to get this ball reversing, but it'll also be crucial, the lines and lengths. We'll keep going on about it with the seamers. The role they play is maybe not necessarily to take wickets right now. They'll let the spinners do that. But actually to contain the batsman as best as possible. And the way you do that is bowling wicket to wicket, really straight, full of a length, get the batsman driving back down the wicket.
Oh, Ollie Stone in once again, and Ajinkya Rahane has got a leading edge which is beautifully timed. He looked like he was trying to turn it on the onside, and it's hit the leading edge and flown out to extra cover for 2.
And this is a perfect example, the line, the length, and it is reversing, and in fact he's held that to go away from the bat, and that's probably why Rahane got the leading edge. Great bit of bowling. But it's that length again, the line going middle and off stump at the widest. Rahane's tried to work it into the leg side. It's reversed away a little bit, got the leading edge.
Incredible bat he's got in his hands. Here's Ollie Stone in once again. It's driven up towards mid-off, and good tumbling stop from Dan Lawrence. A word, Matt, or either of you actually, on Dan Lawrence's role here as the designated ball manager. I mean, he's using up some effort, isn't he?
Well, the first thing I'll say, it's crucial. I mean, looking after the ball is a massive job in the subcontinent, because you do want to get the ball reversing, and it's very easy to, once you've got it, you've got to hold on to it. It's very easy to lose it. One sweaty palm on the dry side.
Ollie Stone in once again, back of a length outside the off stump, chopped away by Rahane, not timed, into the offside, and it's picked up by Rory Burns. 2 overs gone after lunch. India have picked up a couple of runs and moved on to 108 for 3.
What I do find quite interesting is usually, Bats, I don't know about you, but it's usually one of the more experienced players would be given the management of the cricket ball. Not a guy that's only played a couple of games.
Not the likely lad from Essex. What, mate? Doing a bit of this, bit it?
Cameron Bancroft?
Let's not go down that route, shall we?
Yeah, I always thought Bancroft was the weirdest guy, even separate to everything else. He was a wicket-keeper who then became a short leg fielder and then was the guy looking after the ball. He was the least experienced in shining the ball, let alone doing it for reverse swing, even if you're using implements.
It's just fascinating.
Which Dan Lawrence is not.
No, it's just fascinating to watch Lawrence, because he's, as I said, he's got his shirt untucked and he's using as much, it's like a whole handful of material from the shirt. It's not just rubbing it on the side.
You've got to make sure you don't get any of a sweat. I mean, it's really hot over there. They'll be sweating, a sweaty palm. You've got to keep the ball as dry as possible. And that's why you'll see him rubbing the shiny side. You want to get the shiny side not only smooth, but dry. You want to get all the moisture. So any saliva, mind you, they're not allowed to use saliva, are they?
No, he's using his forehead perspiration. Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. That's what he's using. But any moisture you put in the ball to sort of shine or smooth over any abrasions, you want to rub that moisture back out of the ball because you want it as dry as possible and as light as possible, so that any movement in the air has maximum effect.
There was actually a change in the COVID protocols before this series, a couple of series ago actually, where this perspiration can be used, but here is Leach once again, and forward comes Rohit playing away defensively on the offside. So now you have to take the perspiration from it's disgusting really. Back sweat is the term that I think it might have been Stuart Broad who actually said, yeah, we have to use back sweat now because we can't use any perspiration from the head. It's Leach is in once again, and forward comes Rohit. There's a polite appeal from Ben Folkes, and I think there was some bat and pad involved, and Rohit had taken a good step and a half out of his ground. So poor old Dan Lawrence, he's might be inexperienced in the job at international level, but he's got all these restrictions as well now that make it even more complicated. Oh, it's a big appeal for leg before wicket. Sweep shot played by Rohit Sharma. Oh, and then Ben Folkes was really, really interested in that. Virender Sharma, the man on its international debut, the umpire says not out, and England say fair enough, we won't review it.
Yeah, Rohit Sharma definitely getting that big left leg outside the line of the ball. That's why he was trying the little paddle sweep, trying to manoeuvre the fielders, trying to get a 45 on the leg side in, manoeuvring from somewhere else where it might be easy to score.
Leach in once again, lovely drift into Rohit Sharma now. He pushes it defensively. Are you looking at the changes in pace of Jack Leach? Is that, it seems quite noted, as in 79, 80 to 89, almost 90 kilometres an hour. It's big variations in pace. Here he is, Leach once again. Down the wicket comes Rohit Sharma, gets to the pitch of it, drives it down over the top of Stuart Broad at long off. Or at mid-off, he runs back towards long off. That wasn't timed at all by Rohit Sharma. If it had been, it would have been then 15 rows back. And it's just sliced it a bit, didn't it?
Well, a couple of overs ago, Manners, you asked why are mid-on and mid-off up? And this is exactly why. They want to entice Rohit Sharma to come down the wicket and play the big shot, knowing that if the ball moves, spins, there's stumping opportunity. I mean, he's lucky to get away with it. Didn't time that one at all. Looped over to the mid. What was it? Stuart Broad at mid-off. Looped over his head.
He's put forward comes Sharma, pushing this one up towards mid-on, and there's no run. So that's why they're pretty much halfway back, aren't they, mid-on and mid-off?
Yeah, well, you bring them again. Bats will be able to give more about this, but you bring in, instead of saying to the batsman straight after lunch as well, because he's got to get back in, he's got to get his iron, get his feet moving, etc., etc. Instead of saying, okay, well, let's put those two men long on, long off, or even one of them probably long off to the left arm spinner, taking away from the bat. Instead of putting them back straight away and allowing the batsman to just hit one down the ground for an easy single, bring them up, make him do something, make him hit one over the top, make him push that fielder back, because it's the great thing about spin bowling versus a batsman. It's that cat and mouse. The batsman wants to hit it in the areas that is lowest risk, and the bowler wants to make him hit it in the areas that are highest risk, and that is ultimately what the game of playing batting against spin is all about. And that plan worked. They got Sharma down the wicket to try and hit over the top. He got lucky that time. Leading edge took it far enough away from the fielder, but that's probably one to England and Jack Leach.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's somebody off the field said, look, he's not scored down the ground yet to the spinners.
Ollie Stone continues full and fast outside the off stump, left alone.
For a man that normally uses his feet and runs down the wicket, yes, he's hit a full toss down the ground, but he's not had to work for that. That's sort of been given to him. He's not run down the wicket and look to be expansive over mid-on and mid-off. So actually, it works perfectly for how Jack Leach naturally bowls. He naturally doesn't target middle stump. He's more off stump and just outside. So actually, you're saying, well, you're going to take a pretty big risk on a pitch that's spinning and stopping. You're going to take it more on the outside edge and manoeuvre him across the pitch more.
110 for 3. Here's Ollie Stone and hits the pad and heading down the leg side. Bit of a reverse swing, maybe a bit high as well. At momentary interest for those behind the stumps. Just a reminder, if you're joining us for the first time, perhaps you didn't set the alarm for 4 o'clock this morning on this fine but very cold Saturday. Shubman Gill was LBW to Ollie Stone in just the second over of the morning after India won the toss and chose to bat first. Left it alone, didn't play a shot at it, trapped LBW. Next to go was Cheteshwar Pujara, caught beautifully low down at slip by Ben Stokes off Jack Leach. Here's Stone once again, short and pulled past the leg gully down towards the man at long leg, Jack Leach, and they go through for an easy single. Pujara went for 21 from 58 balls, and then a second duck in the session. Virat Kohli bowled through the gate by a beauty from Moeen Ali, spun perhaps from a foot outside off stump, and so perplexed and disbelieving was the Indian captain, he actually stood his ground and asked the umpires to confirm that he had actually been bowled. Couldn't believe what had just happened to him. He went without scoring. And now 111 for 3. Rohit Sharma looks like he's playing on a different surface, different game. The big Indian opener is unbeaten on 82. India, Nelson on the board, 111 for 3.
Yeah, you just feel like England are maybe all in at the minute. They've got a short leg and a leg slip for Stone, plus his 2 or 3 catches, Slip and Gully. Definitely attacking, looking to take wickets, but obviously we were just touching on Leach having mid-on and mid-off. He's keeping them up. It's almost like they're saying to India, right, now is the time for us to try and squeeze you a bit and you play a big shot. The danger in that possibly is they might leak a few more runs with the attacking intent.
Here's Ollie Stone once more, and swings this one in again to Rohit Sharma. Plays defensively up in the onside, no run.
It is interesting because you'd normally have one of your bowlers sort of attacking and defending in one breath and sort of holding the game. The other fella might go hard for a while, and then the roles may reverse. But it feels like both are just going, here we go. We're gonna force a wicket in this moment.
$111 for 3. Sometimes two heavyweight boxers. Here is Ollie Stone again, swing and a miss outside the off stump. So suddenly Rohit gets some width and he can't resist it, can't help himself. He threw the bat at that one without really moving the feet very much, and it might feel slightly fortunate. So sometimes you get two heavyweight boxers who walk into the ring and just start slugging, just throwing punches and just saying, well, let's just go for it and may the best man win. Is that, I mean, rather than shadow boxing and feeling each other out. Yeah. Is that the feeling you're getting at the moment? Just attacking?
Just with the fields being set, I wouldn't suggest the bowlers are bowling massively different, but they're quite aggressive fields, particularly for Stone, having the sort of 3 catches behind the wicket offside and then short leg and leg gully. You're saying, look, we're coming at you boys here. And then Leach having both mid-on and mid-off up. I think in the whole of the first test match, I don't think that happened at all throughout his whole 5 days.
Well, for the next 20 minutes to describe the action, it's Mark Nicholas.
Thanks, Neil. Here's Jack Leach again. And so far, as Rahane plays safely forward and defends, so far I'd say the pitch has seemed a little more docile since lunch, not as if it's perhaps going to fall apart as quickly as people thought. In fact, Rohit Sharma, 82 from 93 balls, who's played confidently, is grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck with this innings, and the pitch hasn't shown many disturbing signs when he's been on strike. I'm sure we've seen the odd ball turn, but you know, in this work to leg side full again, and it's a pretty easy single. That'll be Leach will be crossed with that over pitch leg stump, and Rahane knocks it to square leg. They're not very different from a big swinging or seaming day in England when you'd see the bat beaten a lot and things would look a bit one-sided. 112 for 3 is the score. The morning session was pretty equal, as Leach is just a little back of a length, and on the back foot Rohit Sharma, with all the time in the world, pushes the ball out to short extra cover for no run. Rohit's balance is a great feature of his batting, obviously his timing too. His placement really is a marvellous player. Leach gives that a little more air, and Rohit actually gets too close to it, and so it hits the bottom of the bat and rolls to short extra cover. It was a dramatic start to the thing with Virat Kohli winning the toss, saying we'll bat, and everybody thinking, does that mean he wins the game? And 3 key wickets falling in the morning session that included Pujara and Kohli. Normally if you get 3 in the morning session, having lost the toss, you're not that dissatisfied. That's good ball, lovely. That's really got a bit of curve in and then held its line, but it met the middle of Rohit Sharma's bat. He's only 18 short of 100, and he scored at a very good rate, as we've pointed out. That is great defensive play. England have a silly point in. That's unusual. Down he comes, and this time Rohit pushes to mid-off. So mid-off are both up as temptresses, if you like. 31 overs gone, 112 for 3. No run coming from that last ball. It's all just a bit becalmed, isn't it? As if, you know, the eye of the storm. When it seems as if the storm's over, but I don't suppose it is.
Yeah, I know. It's like both teams are feeling each other out. They know that this pitch is going to deteriorate quickly. It's already offering plenty for the bowlers, and the batters feel like, hang on a second, we're in a good position here. We're not going to give it away easily. These guys are coming at us. England are coming hard. They've set some aggressive fields. The bowlers are bowling aggressively into good areas. There's no freebies at the minute. Who's going to break first is kind of the question, and that's the eye of the storm part of it. Is Rohit going to come out flaying, or is he just going to see it through?
I wonder what the stats people... Oh, here comes Ollie Stone. Bowls now. That bounces a little extra at Rahane, who gloves it, punches it down to short leg. There's a short leg and a leg gully. And I wonder what the highest percentage of any batsman's runs in an innings are. I can't believe that anybody's done any better than Rohit Sharma has so far in this innings, unless it's a long time ago. Jared, you know?
Well, the world record's Charles Bannerman in the first test.
Oh yeah, the 80-77. Yeah, he went on to get 160 odd, didn't he?
Yeah, out of 200 and not many.
Yeah, okay. And nothing since then that would match Rohit. 82 from 112. And oh, lovely blow! What a shot that is by Ajinkya Rahane, on the back foot and gracefully easing it through extra cover for 4.
Yeah, that is a fantastic cricket shot. He sensed that pressure was building. As we were just talking about, both teams sort of feeling each other out after lunch. Just waiting. Ollie Stone again, ball reversing. He's trying to take it away from the bat, slightly wide, slightly short, only ever so slightly wide and short, but Rahane right up to it and punches us off the back foot. Great timing, which is a feature of his batting for sure.
13 from 25. He's a stayer. If he gets in, he's a stayer. You would expect Rohit to take a gamble and therefore potentially make a mistake. Not that he has so far. Rahane less so. 116 for 3. 82 Rohit Sharma. 13 Ajinkya Rahane. Ollie Stone again bangs the ball into the pitch, and he stands on the back foot and punches it to short extra cover. Gary, our stats man, has sent another goodie through. 2 of the top 4 Indian batsmen out for a duck in the first innings, and India still going on to win the match. Has only happened once, and that was in 1977 in Melbourne. So were India to win here, it would only be the second time in India's history as a test match nation, which began in 1932. Now That's a fuller length and driven through wide mid-off. So that stroke matches the one off the back foot. Front foot, back foot. Ajinkya Rahane shows control. 120 for 3.
Oh, Ajinkya Rahane, what a beautiful touch. High left arm again. Foot close to the ball. It's that little bit fuller. Head at it. Timing. Just the timing of the shot. Effortless through extra cover. It's crisp. And hear it off the bat. That lovely thud. Beautiful, beautiful on the eye. Ajinkya Rahane to match Rohit at the other end. This is fine batsmanship from both players.
Yeah, not much wrong with the ball by Ollie Stone either. Unless it reverse swings as the innings goes on, I can see why India picked 3 spinners. England have 2. Well, they have Root. He's a 3rd. Got to bowl a touch straighter, Ollie, with this field, and that's again that line of off stump, back of a length, and a little push defensive stroke by Rahane that results in no run.
Showing a little bit of inexperience for me, Stone, here, because I think the ball is reversing, and they've got 2 different plans to each bat. So Sharma, he's going into him. He's going into the stumps, into the pads, giving him no arms, no width whatsoever. To Rahane, he's definitely turned the ball around. You can see the dry side on the right-hand side, so trying to take the ball away from the batsman to the slips. But on these pitches, you can't take it away from channel. It's not like bowling in England where you bowl that sort of channel line just wide of off stump. That's too much width. On these types of pitches, you still want to bowl wicket to wicket very tight.
That was straighter and dug out the Yorker length. Rahane played it very well. I don't think it tailed in much though. 120 for 3. Rohit on 82, who will be facing in a minute. Rahane on 17. But Matt, you haven't actually seen a ball. When you say it is reversing, have you seen one really curve?
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple so far. Just tailing in. I wouldn't say it's massive reverse swing, but it's certainly going the way of the dry side.
Must have been when I was having my cornflakes.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And the beauty, touch on Matty's point, the beauty of reverse swing is you attack and defend in the same breath, because you're bringing stumps into play, pads into play, and if it doesn't go quite as much, you still bring the outside edge in, but you limit scoring options because it's so difficult. You can't actually open your hands up to get it through the offside if it is that ball coming back in.
The crucial bit for me is for the seam bowlers, when it is reversing, you're taking it into off stump at the widest. So if you're going in, you're starting just outside off stump, bringing it into off stump. If you're going away from the bat, you're not starting at off stump to go outside. You're starting at middle and off to then go into off stump, so you don't give the batsman the freebie of being able to use his hands and hit it through the offside or square on the offside.
Going to be Jack Leach again to bowl to Rohit Sharma. It's a little over pitched, and he's sort of half digging it out, and there's no run as it goes back to Jack Leach. Gorgeous morning sky here, though of course red sky in the morning is a shepherd's warning, but it is, for the first break of daylight, absolutely stunning as we look over central London. Here's Jack Leach again, and Rohit's down drives, mid-on's up, good field setting, asking Rohit to hit over the top. He screams no at Rahane, who nods in appreciation of being sent back nice and early. You don't mind that. If the immediate call is no and you have the chance to go back, that's fine. He was backing up and ready for the run. Good to tight contest this. Who'll blink? That's the question. We know that Rohit Sharma doesn't like to be held at bay by a bowler. Jack Leach waits, studying in concentration he is as he runs into bowl now, and he bowls a nice ball as he has. His grouping at that full length has been really good. The odd one's spun a lot too. He got Pujara with the beauty. Leach with figures of 1 for 26, 120 for 3 now. Keeps spinning that ball in his hands. I said he was like a child with a toy, a spinning top. So he spins it in his hands before trotting into bowl. And he just gets it a little wider, offering Rohit the chance to find the single, because England have had an extra cover sweeper all the time that he's bowled. So Rohit now moves to 83, becalmed relatively. He was going marginally better than a run of balls since lunch. He's now 83 from 101.
In some ways, Mark, I quite like that sweeper on the offside, because Rohit Sharma's addressed that ball with half a bat, bringing the slip into play. I know he gets the easiest single, but it is giving a wicket opportunity.
And that ball bounces a little more than normal and is fielded by Dom Sibley. Well, therein lie the intricacies of cricket. You see, that's a fascinating... We talk about cricket being a game within a game. And, you know, someone who wasn't an expert would wonder why that mattered. And the answer was he's trying to open the blade to find that big gap out there.
Yep, absolutely. And he's brought the man up for Rahane, so he's not as worried about him.
And you're saying he might run it off the blade straight to slip, as Leach this time is short, but not so short that it can be scored off. And back goes Rahane to defend. So there's an end of a pretty good Leach over, 121 for 3. Go on, no, you keep going. I'll talk about the London skyline in a minute.
Well, there's an amount of respect to Rowett, but also playing on his ego a little bit. So you're saying there's a bit of respect. We'll have the cover fielder out there, but you're controlling them where he's going to hit. And actually, if you get him hitting out there, it's bringing your catchers into play, both slip and short leg. But actually, keeping those two up, you're playing on his ego, mid-on and mid-off. So it's actually a fascinating little battle going on between Sharma and Leach. Sharma being so fluent this morning and Leach being so miserly with his economy rate.
Darren Gough joins us now. A reminder of the scorecard. Rohit Sharma unbeaten with 83. Shubman Gill, LBW to Ollie Stone, no score. Good ball that. Cheteshwar Pujara caught Stokes, bowled Leach for 21, also a good ball. Virat Kohli bowled Moeen Ali for naught. A. Jaffa. Like the ball Michael Vaughan bowled Sachin Tendulkar with once in England. Lovely wide spinning off break that went through the gate and hit the top of off, and Ajinkya Rahane unbeaten with 17, 121 for 3, having won the toss and chosen to bat first. Moeen Ali into the attack instead of Ollie Stone, lobs up an off break without much venom, and Rohit Sharma just eases it to short mid wicket. Goffey, this is your office up here. You come in to do drive every day.
Every day.
Staggering views. That's nice there. Pitch it there, outside off stump, quite full into that sort of roughish area. And there's a little bit of spin, wasn't there, and dusting.
There was indeed. I don't normally get in this early though, Mark. That's the one problem there.
You don't know what? No run. Yes, there is a run. Oh, mid-on's gone back. Okay, for Moeen Ali. So Rohit leans into it, knocks it down towards long on.
What I was saying is, but I don't normally get in this early though.
No,
I
quite.
Do
you don't see that.
Not
exactly. You don't see this amazing sunrise. You see the sunset.
Yes.
Which would also be beautiful. But I mean, we can see from, well, probably, maybe not from as far round as Chelsea Bridge, but we can see St Paul's anyway clearly, and then we can see the centre of the city and round to Canary Wharf. The river winds in surprising ways. Actually, there are bigger twists and turns in it than you might imagine, but it is a gorgeous morning. Very cold, -5, and not getting much warmer throughout the day. I think it gets to just around the freezing mark, but we're in a very cosy, warm office, beautifully situated, but also a well thought through office. Actually, we've all got our own space, and we're in a biosecure, we've got perspex glass around us, we've got these huge screens that we can watch the cricket on and hopefully bring it to you with some enjoyment. Slightly mistimed by Rahane as he looks to work a full ball hard wide of mid-on, but it goes much squarer than that as it probably spins and stops a bit. And it brings Rohit Sharma back onto strike, who has 84. Rahane has 18, and it's 1-2-3 for 3.
Nothing really risky about that shot, as far as that's what you'd expect from a right-handed batsman when an off-spinner's bowling and there's a slight bit of turn. But with the uncertainty...
Well, just easy defence from Rohit Sharma, forward and no run.
With the uncertainty of the pitch and the odd one stopping in there and dusting, it does become a risky shot, doesn't it, Mark? With the catcher at short mid wicket in place.
Yeah, it's you're. Oh, that's not quite right, is it? Yeah, it's okay. It's 4, but it's spun. Sharma's sweeping, goes down on one knee, goes very square. It goes up in the air for the first half of its journey, but it's nowhere near the fielder. 4 more for Rohit Sharma, who moves to 88.
It's definitely the planning attack from Rohit Sharma to Moeen Ali. He's trying to get that ball to those footholds outside the off stump. Rohit reaches for this one, didn't quite get it out of the screws, but good enough. No fielder there to go for 4. They have got 2 men back, 1 behind square on the leg side for that sweep shot, and 1 deep mid wicket, but it went right in the gap. Again, another positive shot from Rohit Sharma. 88 he moves on to after just 106 deliveries, and the score is 127 for 3 here on TalkSport 2.
Well, I said before lunch I felt Rohit Sharma's innings could be hugely influential in this game if England didn't get him in the first half hour after lunch. Well, they haven't done that. He's now 88 not out. We know from one-day cricket how big he can go. Gosh, he's made double hundreds in one-day matches, so he's a real threat here. 127 for 3 as the bearded Ajinkya Rahane waits for the balding Jack Leach, and Rahane drives firmly to mid-on, but there's no run. We're in an age of beards. Hey?
And bald heads.
And bald head. Well, yeah.
There's quite a few about. You can do things about that, as a few of the England team have, but there is a few about. I'll tell you what, Gareth, I was interested what he was talking about with the Jack Leach bowling that line and getting the odd one to turn. He got Pujara like that.
Now, that's well bowled. It hurries on with the arm, and as Rahane went back to cut, he suddenly was cramped and had to rethink and gets his bat down straight, and it rolls out to cover for no run.
He bowled that line, didn't he, which was tempting. He was trying to get the batsman forward, but Pujara just tried to plate behind square on the offside and came off the face almost, didn't it, to slip?
Beauty! Oh, ripping, bouncing, spitting left arm spinner, and almost a perfect ball. A touch straighter and it would have been. It beats the outside edge of the bat, and it's beautifully taken by Ben Foakes, who delivers it back to the stumps, as if to say, you even think of moving that back leg and I got you. Really good ball. Rahane waits again, tapping the ground. Lovely, level eyes, steady, urging himself to watch the ball, which he does nicely. In fact, rather exaggerates his head over the ball there, like Steve Waugh used to do, as if to tell the fielders how hard he's watching the ball, never mind the ball itself. Silence in the crowd. Leach bowls. Rahane goes back and works an arm ball leg side for a single. It awakens a couple in the crowd, but not more than that. 15,000 people here today. The first time crowds have come back to cricket in India for a long while. 15,000 is about a third of the capacity of a ground that has that sort of Bedouin tent effect to the top of the stands that you see at Lord's. Modern sort of design gave it a really nice airy feel. A couple of the old concrete ones still remain, certainly in the bleachers anyway. The concrete, as Rohit Sharma dances down the pitch and defends a fine over from Leach, but nothing coming from it in terms of wickets. It's 128 for 3.
You can just imagine there's conversations, Mark, in the dressing room at lunchtime. England, happy with the 3 wickets, but just a little bit upset probably at the way India managed to get over 100 on the board. But such an important session this, because India probably had that chat, but look, we've seen the pitch already, Dustin. We're sitting now at 128 for 3. We've got to make sure we bat well this first innings. Everyone could be worth double once you get over 220, 230. And with England saying, listen, we get another couple of wickets here quickly, and we could dismiss India, and then we will have to bat well in that first innings. I think it's definitely taking a bit more of the pitch than it did on that first day just a week ago on this same venue. So I'm really looking forward to this passage of play, actually.
And Ali's been doing a long adjustment. He has got a long beard and a bald head. Actually, he shaved his head a lot. Oh, a bowl. Beauty from Moeen Ali. He's got so much cricket talent. Every time I watch Moeen Ali play the game, I see cricket oozing through his veins.
Me too.
That was a good ball. It bounced and spun and hit the top of the pad and maybe the glove and lobbed up, but safely. No one could get to it, and a lovely forward defence from Rahane that time round.
He's been one of those players, and he'll be sweating over this next week. The IPL auction got released from his club. Didn't get much game time last year. If I was involved with one of them, he's definitely one of the players I'd be looking at to sign.
Yeah, he needs to be used, I think, more than he is used. I was surprised how little he played. He was with Virat at the Bangalore franchise, Royal Challengers. Back he goes, does Rahane, and pushes it to short mid-wicket.
And the problem with Virat Kohli's side, but they've got De Villiers in there as well. They've got that many batsmen, they just play all batsmen, don't they? And that's been part of their problem.
It's a fine sweep shot, a bit too full, but moreover too straight, and that's why Rahane could just swivel with it, as it was about middle and leg. But it's only a single because the field is well set, orthodox deep backward square. There he was in 20 yards from the boundary for the top edge, but they picked him out. 129 for 3 now. Rahane moved to 20. Rohit has now come on to strike. He has 88 from 107 balls. If you've just tuned in, he played very freely this morning as England took 3 wickets at one end. Rohit Sharma played like Bradman at the other. Here's Moeen Ali. He bowls again. Down comes Rohit Sharma. It's a bit like Groundhog Day, that, from Rohit Sharma, as he knocks it out to long on, and there's an easy single. Stuart Broad trots in to do the fielding, probably wondering how much bowling he'll do.
I can't see him bowling much at all, to be fair, so he should be fresh for the 3rd test. I'm saying that already. And we're to day 1 of the 2nd test match.
Nice off spinner from Moeen Ali, beautifully pitched and disturbs the surface. One can see it dust up. 36 gone, nothing comes as the ball rolls out onto the leg side for no run. 130 for 3. Akash Chopra is in India and part of our team. Good afternoon, Maestro.
Good afternoon, Mark. How have you been doing?
Yeah, very good, very good. I'm missing you. Haven't seen you for a couple of months, but looking forward to catching up soon. Meantime, give me an Indian viewpoint of play so far.
Oh, well, winning the toss I thought was absolutely critical, and but then it's well begun is only half the job done. 130 for 3 in 36 overs, India would take it, because this pitch is unlikely to yield the kind of game that we saw in the previous test match, going into the 2nd session on the 5th day. This is not that kind of a surface, and Rohit Sharma, this innings is absolutely gold dust. He's there, and he's the only guy who could actually dominate the way he has, and he's come good for India at a very critical juncture. So India, I think, are very handsomely placed, and I'm really happy with the proceedings thus far.
Okay, I'll let Andrew McKenna ask you your next question, because here he is.
Thank you, Mark. Jack Leach then, left arm around. Rohit has nothing to do with this one, allows it through to Ben Foakes behind the stumps, and there is no run. The sun beats down in Chennai. Of course, this pitch was started to be prepared before the 1st test. Only 3 days in between, and it's already doing plenty. Weather forecast set fair for the next few days, of course. Rohit is down the pitch, is clipping to wide of Dan Lawrence, but Lawrence will get on the ball and field it. Single taken, 131 for 3.
Akash, is this the pitch they actually wanted in the 1st test? So if they did lose the toss, it at least gives the spinners a little bit of assistance from day 1?
Not really. And this is also not something that's been asked for. I think when you're playing 2 test matches at the same venue, this is how the 2 pitches are going to play in the subcontinent. 9 out of 10 times. Because you don't change the square, and it's impossible to prepare 2 pitches simultaneously.
So it's just been a coincidence with the weather, as this occasion Rahane bat and pad close together to Jack Leach, squeezes it out on the offside, and there is no run.
And the reason why I say that is because that 2017 India-Australia, Pune is very fresh in minds. You wouldn't want to prepare an absolute rank turner.
Leach around the wicket. On this occasion, Rahane is forward, covering the line, but raises his bat high in the air to allow it through to Foakes. No run. Once again, a puff of dust as it pitches. On that occasion, not a problem. The early morning mist has burnt off, as it is 5-1 now in the afternoon. Rahane is deep in his crease on this occasion, taking a ball from about 6 or 7 centimetres outside of off stump and whipping it with his wrists through to mid-wicket for a single. 132 for 3. Rahane goes to 21 and brings Rohit back down on strike. He's got 90 from 110 deliveries. Leach still working on the ball, spinning it in his hand. Then he comes in, quicker one onto Rahane, but he's onto it and he turns it out to the mid-wicket sweeper, who is coming in off the boundary. That is Ollie Stone, the man doing the fielding there, and the single taken to end the over here on TalkSport 2. 37 overs of this Indian innings have been bowled. 133 for 3. Rohit 91 from 111 deliveries. Rahane 21 from 45. Akash, can I just ask a quick question about the reaction of Virat Kohli when he was bowled by Moeen Ali? There was obviously a lot of social media pick up on that one. Some people are saying, well, it was disbelief. Others saying it was bordering on disrespectful.
Oh, well, not disrespectful for sure. Disbelief, yes. And there's a little context to that story as well, that this is the first time ever in Virat Kohli's career that he's been dismissed for a duck against a spinner. So first-class cricket, T20 cricket, one-day cricket, anywhere, he's never been dismissed for a duck by a spinner, and that ball, of course, turned a mile. Played a bad shot, so no excuses for that. Played down the wrong line against the spin when you were far away from the ball, but I think that expression was of utter disbelief.
Well, Rohit hasn't had any of those kind of problems. He's got 3 men around the bat as he prepares to face Moeen Ali. Moeen is in, and a little bit of drift away from Rohit, working it to mid-wicket on the bounce, and there is no run. Rohit closing in on his 7th Test match 100. He's 9 away from it at the moment. 611 50s in his Test career so far. Of course, this is match number 36. And he taps his bat and waits. He gets a full toss from Moeen Ali on this occasion and hits it back down the pitch to the bowler, and there's no run, Goffey.
He's one of my favourite players to watch, and again, when I was picking an all-format 11, he's one of the players I would have in it. Surprised a lot of people, but just watching him play, it excites me. He's got shots all around the wicket. He makes it look so easy. And Indians, I say, have always had that skill of having an opening batsman who can keep the scoreboard ticking. Obviously, Virender Sehwag was the best at it, and then you've got someone like Rohit Sharma who has got so much talent.
Certainly has. Moeen Ali goes in. Rohit is coming forward, turning it out to Rory Burns at shortish mid-wicket. England got 2 round the bat now, and they've gone back to the very straight mid-on, short mid-on. So Joe Root is standing almost in front of the non-striker at the moment. They've got the short leg in place, the mid-wicket looking for the clip ball. Little bit of bat and pad together there from Rohit Sharma, but it goes straight back down the pitch, and Ollie Pope certainly hasn't got any price of taking a catch there.
Akash, with Rohit Sharma, do you think this is his best position for India, opening the batting?
Well, yes, I think so, because he's played a lot of cricket in white ball, with the white ball. At this number, he's been tried at 5 or 6. That hasn't worked. I think this is the actually final throw of the dice as far as his Test career is concerned, and he's done well. He's already scored a double century. He averages, I think, close to 80 as an opener.
As Moeen Ali goes into him, he comes down the pitch, launches it back past Moeen Ali, and launches it almost back past the stand. That's gone crashing into the middle tier for the full 6 penneth. Rohit goes to 97, 139 for 3 here on TalkSport 2.
Well, he wasn't coming down to block that one. Maka used his feet, got right to the pitch of the ball. Moeen Ali, again that attacking line, outside off stump. No real spin, got right to the pitch, hit Rohit, and that's pure style. Middle of the bat, straight down the ground. 6 runs. The crowd, yes, the crowd go wild. Loving that piece of batting from Rohit Sharma. Moeen Ali, not so much. 139 for 3 on TalkSport 2.
Rohit 1 hit away from 100 now, 97 not out. He comes forward to this from Moeen Ali and just defends, and that was the thing about that one. There was a little puff of dust from that ball that was hit for 6, but he got out there and took it almost on the half volley that it didn't make any difference. End of the over, 139 for 3 here on TalkSport 2.
Well, if you get to the pitch of it, it can dust all it wants. It doesn't matter. When you start playing away from your body like Virat Kohli did, or like when Rahane has tried to play a few of those through leg side and just had them a little bit uppish. But if you get to the picture ball like that, like Rohit Sharma, and cover all bases, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely not. Important innings this one for Rahane as well, Akash, because he didn't have the best of times in the first match. I'm not saying he's looked fluent by any stretch, but he's looked far more solid as he's made 21 from 45 so far.
Yes, and he was also feeling the pressure is what I guess, I gather, because he was asked this question in the pre-match press conference as well. And he actually mentioned that just look around, look back at my last 10 to 15 tests matches and you'll find some scores. But it is also a reality that his numbers in India aren't that great. He averages a little shy of 40 at home, which is a bit of an anomaly for people in India, batsmen in India. Generally, 9 out of 10 times he play on good surfaces. So there is a bit of pressure. There was a bit of chorus now that was growing about with regards to his place in the side and not just the form. So he understands the importance of this innings. And what I liked today was just a bit more positivity with regards to his feet movement, his shot selection. He's not trying to just bide his time and occupy the crease. He's willing to score runs. And to be honest, that's the best form of Rahane. When he goes into a shell, he's not the same player. Today he's looked at least a bit more positive.
Stuart Broad's back into the attack, replacing Jack Leach for the time being. This will be his 5th over. Right arm over the wicket. Rahane is forward, pushing out on the offside. A slip, a gully, a short cover. The short straight mid-on for Stuart Broad at the moment is the field.
No, he's right on the button. As you would expect from an experienced fast bowler, one who's ranked number 2 in the world, exactly the same as Jimmy Anderson last week. Not many looseness between these two. They get it straight on the length that needs to be bowled on these sort of pitches. It's a big spell this for Stuart Broad.
0 for 21 so far, including 1 maiden. He's in, right arm over. That's a good one. Rahane playing from the crease. Maybe just threatened to shape a little bit away from the batsman on that occasion, but there's nothing there.
Having seen Stuart bowl quite a few times now, especially in the latter years, I mean, it is a tactic to users if there's not much in the pitch. As you would expect, he attacks the stumps with that first spell, then he tends to just bowl it that little bit shorter. The temptation will be to try and get him to pitch it up a little bit more and use the fielders as Joe Root used in that first test where we had the catchers on the leg side. They become attacking position for the fielding side.
Broad in, Rahane very solidly forward in behind that one, and there's no run as it's played out on the offside.
Akash, were you surprised they left Jimmy Anderson out?
Not really, actually. We expected that from England. I actually went on record to say that England is likely to make 3 or 4 changes, and they are rotating Anderson and Broad. I thought that was on the cards any which way. I was slightly surprised that Bumrah is rested.
Well, yes, absolutely. Broad is in, and Rahane takes the outside portion of the bat, and it will go through a wide gully and roll away through third man all the way down to the boundary. So Rahane goes to 25. That is his fourth boundary of the innings. India go 143 for 3.
I'm with you, Akash, on that. I could not believe that. On this sort of pitch, I think Bumrah could play a big part with his skill to reverse and being able to bowl Yorkers like he does. I mean, what did he miss in Australia? He only missed 1 test, didn't he? Through injury?
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
so maybe that, that's the thing. When you're not privy to these conversations, you don't know the developments, how he's feeling. Is he a little ginger? Do they need to manage the workload just yet? These are the questions that still are unanswered, aren't they?
Stuart Broad goes in, right arm over. It's a beauty. Rahane digs it out, clicks it to Joe Root at short straight mid-on. Root throws at the stumps and there is no run, as we welcome TalkSport listeners to us once again here on TalkSport 2 with the news that India are 143 for 3. They went to lunch 106 for 3. And they've taken on to 143 for 3. Rohit Sharma is closing in on a Test match 100, would be the 7th of his career. He's played absolutely beautifully so far today. He's got 97 out of a total of 143 on the board. He's at the non-strikers end. Rahane is getting one from Stuart Broad that will bounce, go through to keeper Ben Foakes, and that is the end of the over. 39 have been bowled by England, 143 for 3.
His game plan's been spot on, Rohit Sharma. We can see against the off-spin of Moeen Ali, who's wanted to bowl that attacking line outside off stump. The game plan is to be to sweep him, to try and get him to bowl a little bit straighter. Then he's used his defeat and just clipped it to mid-on or mid-wicket and kept rotating the strike. Rahane's been a little bit more watchful. We know he's coming off the back of 2 low scores in the last test match. He's just trying to build the innings and give the strike to Rohit Sharma, who can keep the scoreboard ticking. England's seamers have been okay. Ollie Stone has looked attacking, he's tried to attack the stumps, but India here, 143 on a pitch that's offering more to the bowler than it did in the first day of the last test.
The noise goes up as Rohit Sharma is on strike, 97 not out. He gets a ball from Moeen Ali, turns it to Ollie Pope under the helmet at short leg, and yes, that is real proper crowd noise. About 15,000 spectators allowed in each day at the Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Rohit Sharma's coming down the pitch. Oh, that's a big inside edge, inside portion of the bat. Rory Burns will field at mid-wicket. Rohit fancied going to the 100 there with the 4, but he got one that turned, and again, big chunk of the pitch taken out of that one, which meant it was the inside portion of the bat and there was no timing whatsoever in it.
Yeah, tried to hit it too square, didn't he, on the offside. Hit it down the ground.
Mid-off is up. Mid-on is at long on. Rohit Sharma's going to flip this up into the leg side and it lands just short of Rory Burns. He's down on one knee, looking for the paddle, and has got it very low on the bat, if not the cue end. And Joe Root's actually laughing at the moment because it was so poorly timed, it didn't get the 10-15 yards to Rory Burns at short mid-wicket. It's an incredible shot. It's almost like one of those that you do as fielding drills before the game.
It was just the cue end of the bat, wasn't it? Joe Root cannot believe it has not gone to short mid-wicket.
Root's taken half a step in at short mid-on. Rohit is playing out on the offside and there is no run. Wow. For a bloke who's been untroubled for the previous 120 odd deliveries, Rohit Sharma on 97 not out. It's not the nervous 90s because he's playing brilliantly, but there's something going through his mind. Moeen Ali's given him a low full toss. Rohit Sharma though has just clipped it to Joe Root, and England's attack of the full tosses, it appears to be continuing a little bit in this test match.
I think it is a case of the nervous 90s.
Final ball of this over. Rohit comes down the pitch and will take a single, so he will retain the strike for the start of the next over. He's 98 not out, 40 overs gone of the Indian first innings. India 144 for 3.
I'm not saying I've got experience of test cricket hundreds, never got into the 90s, but having been there a few times in first class cricket, it definitely affected me. I always like to get there with a boundary. Only managed to get 200 once. So if I feel nerves, I'm sure Rohit Sharma's feeling nerves. It's a test 100 in India against England when his team are 1-0 down in the series of a 4-match series, a place in the World Test Championship at Lord's this summer. Of course, there's got to be some nerves there.
He has played superbly though, hasn't he, Rohit? I mean, my goodness, from the start, he's timed the ball well, he's played it well. Yes, of course, very early stages of the innings, there'd be a couple of play and misses, there's a couple outside portion of the bat that doesn't carry to slip, but once he's got his eye in, he has played so well. So Stuart Broad will continue. Slip, gully, point, cover mid-off, mid-on, as well as the short, straight mid-on the catch. Man at square leg. Rohit, 98 not out. In goes Broad. He's not going to be able to work that away for runs. He's just going to play it back down the pitch to Joe Root. And he continues 98 not out.
What I will say about Stuart Broad is, this love affair with his headband, it's rightly so as well. Well, whenever you're taking wickets, He's thinking, if I take it off, I won't take wicket, so it's going to be there forever. It's a bit like Vardy when he played for Leicester and he had the hand cast on, wasn't it? But if he has a game where he doesn't get a wicket, do you think he'll take it off?
Oh, it'll go. As soon as he has a bad couple of games, cricket is possibly the most superstitious game of all time. Broad is in. Oh, Rohit Sharma has played a little dabby shot at that one, trying to guide it to third man, and fortunately for him, doesn't get anything on it. It's through to the keeper, no run.
Akash, we've definitely seen a bit of nerves here from Rohit Sharma.
Oh, I think Akash has actually left us now, Goffey,
No, he's
sadly.
left us. I think he's nervous as well. It's always nice as any sort of ball, you know, when you're playing any test match, whether it's rotation or not, you just want to get that one wicket in the wicket column. Brody, a none for 25 or 5.2, just one wicket. Nearly got one there. A loose shot from Rohit Sharma on 98, trying to lay it down to third man. A little tickle.
In goes Broad once again. Rohit solidly forward. The back leg's coming around, but he's playing it straight back down the pitch, and there is no run. One thing I've noticed, Ben Foakes is keeping with black gloves on, and I'm guessing he's putting his hands on his knees a lot because his thighs on his trousers are getting merrily darker and darker and darker. He might want to have a word with his kit manufacturer and just say, you're going to cost me a fortune in laundry bills at the moment. Could I possibly get a different colour on this one?
I think they'll be all right, Macca. They get 50 US a day just for the laundry, so I don't think it'll cost him much.
He's going in once again, is Stuart Broad. Inside portion of Rohit's bat. It'll go out to mid-wicket, where Stonefields, and there's no run.
In fact, I'll tell you how it works now, because I couldn't believe that. We used to get a little budget when we put our laundry, and you could only put so many things in a week. And they still do, but they can put up to 10 items per day into laundry, and they get it obviously back the same day. That's the way it works with their laundry now. As when we played, what I used to do on the last day of the tour, just put everything in, so it all come back on hangers and folded, put it straight in the suitcase.
Oh dear. Rohit Sharma, 98 not out. Stuart Broad is in. Outside edge for Rohit Sharma. He was playing towards mid-wicket, but it's actually taken the outside portion of the bat, and Ollie Pope will field in the covers, no run.
And the reason they do it every day now is because some people, as we talk about, superstitious, they like the same trousers, they like the same shirt. If they bowl well in the first innings, they want to be able to get them back for the next day. So each day at the end of play, they can put up to 10 items there, and then they get them back the next morning for the start of play again. How about that?
There you go. Stuart Broad, that last one was the cutter, the one that he rolls his fingers over almost in a leg break kind of action, and it did seem to grip on the surface a little bit. 144 for 3. Rohit, 98 not out, facing Broad, and he's really solidly in behind that. Doesn't want to play an attacking shot to bring off his 100 on that one. It's 129 deliveries faced now for Rohit Sharma's 98. Rahane has 25 from 51 deliveries. India, well, they won the toss and batted this morning. At lunch, they were 106 for 3. We've now reached drinks in the afternoon session with India 144 for 3. Some more thoughts from Goffey, and Neil Manthorpe will take up the ball by ball.
Thank you very much indeed, Macca. Just a reminder for those of you joining us for the first time. India won the toss and chose, not surprisingly, to bat first. But they lost opener Shubman Gill in the second over. LBW to Ollie Stone. A nip backer which he played no shot at was shown to be hitting the top of middle and off. Cheteshwar Pujara, well caught, but low down. Was travelling quite quickly by Ben Stokes at slip off the bowling of Jack Leach, who bowled a beauty to find the outside edge, but not quite as much of a beauty as the one that got Virat Kohli, who was bowled by Moeen Ali, the ball pitching maybe a foot outside off stump and spinning back between the gate to hit the top of middle and off. Virat Kohli's first duck against a spinner ever, and he looked suitably disbelieving and even stood his ground while the umpires confirmed that he had in fact been bowled and that there was no other way, that the bails had fallen off. But since then, Rohit Sharma has been in glorious form, 98 not out from just 129 balls, and Ajinkya Rahane has 25. The ball has been going through the top of the surface, well, right from the very beginning. Even in Ollie Stone's opening spell, you saw the ball taking chunks out of the pitch. But India 144 for 3. Those 3 wickets will feel good for England, but as far as India are concerned, they'll be very happy with the 144 runs they've got on the board. And Matt Pryor at lunchtime said that, well, he gave India the session just by a nose at 106 for 3. Now they're 144 for 3. Matt Pryor, that's pretty good, pretty handy total of runs.
Yeah, definitely. I've had a few people come back on social media, losing the toss, bowling first, take 3 wickets. Of course, England won the session. The reason I gave it to India is because on a surface like this, every run is going to be crucial. And to get over 100, score over 100 runs in a session the first morning on a pitch that's dusting up, turning, going through the top a little bit, I think it's runs on the board that are going to be crucial. And we chatted when I was last on air, just after lunch, you saw both teams. It was almost steady when they first came out. Sharma was sort of having another look, Rahane as well. England was setting fields, bowling straight, and I think what had happened was after the sort of initial excitement, everyone sort of, right, what's this pitch going to do? You have that first 2 hours, that first session to assess the conditions. You've then got to make changes to your play, and that's the importance at this level. International cricket is being able to adapt to the surface, to what it is, because everyone will have a theory, but until you see what it looks like and to see for that first 2 hours, okay, this is how the surface is going to play. Both teams would have had that lunch break and they would have been discussing, right, from an India perspective, how are we going to bat on this? How are we going to score runs? What is a good total? England's perspective, how are we going to get wickets? How are we going to contain runs and make sure India don't get too far away from us? And at the moment, India have certainly taken the first hour.
They have, haven't they? And Rohit Sharma, 98 not out. Drinks have been taken, and Moeen Ali continues with his first delivery, which is wide and full and drivable, and Jinky Rahane does drive it, but only as far as mid-off. Really was an absolutely beautiful delivery from Moeen that got Virat Kohli. Short leg and a slip in now, and a sweep from Jinky Rahane. There's a man out there deep back with square leg. It's Jack Leach, and they go through for an easy single, and the crowd once again become a little more vociferous as Rohit Sharma turns to strike on 98.
And with Goffey, he's got to be nervous, isn't he?
He looks a bit less.
He looks a bit twitchy.
Yeah, he was authoritatively calm for most of his innings. Here is Moeen once again. Little sweep shot, top edge, and down towards deep backward square leg. They're turning for the second. That's Rohit Sharma's century. Innings of drama and domination, and Virat Kohli leads the cheers from the Indian change room. He's up on his feet, he's clapping his hands above his head. 7th Test match century for Rohit Sharma to go with 11 50s. India are 147 for 3, and just judging by the applause from the Indians led by the captain, they know that that's not just any 100. On the very first day of this Test match, it might just be a Test match defining one. That is an innings of remarkable domination, given the total of 148 for 3 now, as he pushes the next one down the ground towards long on for a comfortable single. He's just played a different game.
He has. He's played a different game from ball one. He's timed it beautifully. Moved his feet well. He's played the spinners exceptionally well. That's been a standout feature. Everyone else has looked at it. All the other batsmen have looked a bit unsure, uneasy, but he looked very steady, had a very good game plan, knowing exactly when to go back, score off the back foot, and then when to get on the front foot and sweep.
Moeen, a little bit of width outside the off stump, punched off the back foot by Rahane straight to cover. I know Jared Kimber's been all over the percentage of team runs scored by an individual batsman, but I wonder if anyone scored a higher percentage having reached 100 out of 147. Down the wicket comes Rahane here as Moeen turns one once again.
Well, we've only looked at the first 100 runs so far, and so he scored 75% of the first 100 runs. Two years ago, Tamim Iqbal did that against New Zealand, so it's not as surprising. It does happen occasionally, but if we just go back to Charles Bannerman, who did it in the first test. He scored 67% of Australia's runs in that test. He also faced the first ball in Test cricket, made the first run in Test cricket, hit the first 50 in Test cricket, the first 100 in Test cricket, and was retired hurt, the first player in Test cricket as well. So perhaps that odd record of Bannerman, if India could just collapse at the other end, there'll be a lot of happy statisticians out there, Manners. And isn't that what cricket's really about?
Just one more question. How many years after the first Test match was the first Test match declared the first Test match?
So it was, 1877, and it was declared the first Test by a South Australian news journalist in 1894, and then people just started calling it the first Test, and no one ever did anything about it.
So it was 23 years after the first Test that it was declared to be the first Test?
Yeah, no, not quite that long, about 17 years, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, sorry.
I mean, it's an incredible situation.
Stuart Broad is in for a new over, off the back foot. It's pushed out towards cover and fielded by Ollie Pope.
Like, there was no ICC, the Lords hadn't decided what a test match was, so anyone could just host a test match at that point. And then this one journalist just went through and said, well, that's not fair, I'm going to decide what is a real test match. And he just went through and marked all the different games as test matches. And I think in absence of any better list, that's what became the beginning of Test cricket.
It is fascinating, the history.
You know the story about Ted Pooley, don't you? England's wicketkeeper.
I think you've told me this before, and
well, Ted Pooley is famous because he was supposed to be England's wicketkeeper in that first Test match, but he was in jail in Christchurch because he'd beaten up a bookie who hadn't paid him when he was umpiring a match.
Brought in again, and it's nudged away on the onside with a straight bat by Rohit Sharma out towards deep mid wicket. I love the people who think that modern day betting and match fixing is a recent problem.
Well, Ted Pooley, so he's one of Batter's guys. He was from Surrey, and he was injured himself wicket keeping, as you would have in those days, because balls were running along the ground. And so he offered to umpire a game, and in the same game he bet on the exact score of a bunch of batsmen. And I think he bet on every batsman to make a duck. And it was a 22 versus 11 game, so there was like 17 ducks in the game, and this guy obviously completely cashed in against a very, very dopey bookmaker. And then he had a
Broad in again. Forward comes Rohit, pushes it defensively out in the offside. 150 for 3.
And then he went up to the bookmaker and said, well, you've obviously cheated me here because you were umpiring. Although there weren't many LBWs, I think most of them were clean bowl. Anyway, he beat up the bookmaker, went to jail. England went and played the first Test, and Ted Pooley missed out. But at that stage, he didn't know he'd missed out on the first Test matters. It was only 17 years later he found out that he was in jail during the first Test.
All important knowledge. The bacon and sausage sandwiches have arrived, and Matt Pryor and I are on while the smell wafts through the commentary studio as Broad is in once again.
Oh, we've had a shocker here, Manners, haven't we?
We have.
Time this terrible. Luckily, Goffey, being the ultimate team man he is, asking everyone, sausage or bacon? Sausage for me, Goffey, please.
Bacon for me with brown sauce, please. As the sun rises above the city of London, away to the left of our commentary boardroom. And in Chennai, Rohit Sharma has had a very, very special day as Stuart Broad runs into him. He's 103 not out from just 135 balls and steers this one away past Rory Burns in the gully down towards third man. Dom Sibley is in pursuit, and he overhauls it at least 10 yards before it reaches the boundary. Rohit is just seeing the ball, and that's the first part. He's seeing it large, he's seeing it well, he's seeing it early, and his shot selection has been pretty outstanding. I think just the one rather loose drive outside the off stump after Stuart Broad had tied him up for a couple of overs. He was beaten outside the off stump, but otherwise he's barely played a false shot. Jared Kimber will be able to tell us how many false shots he's played and what percentage of his innings he's been in control of. That's one statistic I think people enjoy listening to, is that full and wide outside the off stump. There was that innings that Virat Kohli played in the second innings of the first Test match here last week, in which he played some absurdly low percentage of false shots, like less than 5% or something, and was in complete control. I wonder what percentage of his innings Rohit Sharma's been in control of. He's 105 not out. Ajinkya Rahane has 26. India 152 for 3. Do you still think 350 is a good score on this match?
Oh yeah, without doubt. I'm still taking 250. You're in the game. 250, you're in the game. Without a shadow of a doubt. 300, I think you're just ahead of the game. Of course, they always say don't judge a wicket until both sides are battered on it, but I think the signs are there, aren't they? Pretty clear, and they have been all day. I think just to add to Sharma, it's how simple he's made scoring runs look on what is quite a difficult wicket to bat on. It sounds really...
Moeen Ali begins the next over. It's slightly short enough for Rahane to rock onto the back foot too and punch it out towards mid-off for a single.
Batting is ultimately keep the good ball out and hit the bad ball for a boundary or for a runs. It sounds so simple and it's easy to say it sat here, but actually to go out there in the heat of battle and do it and make it look that simple is very tricky. But that's exactly what Sharma's done. He's been very clear in his plans, he's been very clear in where he wants to score, and he's waited for the ball to go in that area.
Into the 44th over, here's Moeen Ali, gives that one some air, and it's clipped off his toes to Rory Burns at short mid-wicket. The 2 sixes that Rohit Sharma's hit when he's two-stepped the spinners and driven over long off and long on respectively, what degree of premeditation is there in those shots? Because you say hit the bad ball, they weren't necessarily bad balls, were they? Here's Moeen once again, and it's driven out towards short mid-wicket. Joe Root dives to his right.
Well, as a batsman, you'll have in your head, okay, a certain line, it might be a sweep shot. The minute you see the ball go into that line, that's your sweep shot. A certain area will block. If you see the ball go up, that's your signal ultimately to go down the wicket. And then you're making a judgment as you're going down of whether the ball's in the right area to go through with the big shot.
Moeen in again, defends off the back foot, Rohit, 153 for 3.
Or actually rein yourself back because the ball's dropping in an area that would be dangerous and then blocking it down the pitch. The skill is to not commit too early to going down the wicket, and then if the ball isn't in the right area, to continue going on with the big shot, which Rohit hasn't done.
Moeen in once more, and it's driven again clipped off his toes really, rather than a drive, past Rory Burns at short mid-wicket. Sibley Fields, they pick up another single. Ajinkya Rahane playing a lovely supporting role at the moment. He's just happy to take a single if he's not defending. Just let Rohit dominate the show. Rohit 107, apart from those 2 sixes. He's hit 14 fours in his innings of 107 from 141 deliveries. Here is Moeen once again, and steered again nicely off the back foot, slightly wide, turning back into him. Rohit opens the face, guides it down to short third man. He appears to have been in complete control. You got anything on his control, Jared? As I said, sometimes we say our batsman has looked in complete control, and you say, well, actually, statistically, no, he isn't.
Well, actually, statistically, no, he isn't. I think for this pitch he's in good control, but he's going at about 80% at the moment. So a Test cricketer you'd expect to be around 87 or 88% on general. But on this pitch, 80% seems quite good to me. I think the biggest difference is that he's found a way to score from the regular balls, which obviously the other batsman hadn't. So maybe he looks a bit more in control because we're seeing him tick over the scoreboard. But no, if it keeps going, you wouldn't... you expect it only to get worse, which means that it's going to be hard for anyone else to score 100 anywhere near with this level of control. I would assume it's just going to get worse and worse and worse for the batsman.
India are 156 for 3. Rohit's 108. Ajinkya Rahane has 27. And for the next 20 minutes of this wonderful batting masterclass from Rohit Sharma, to describe it would be Mark Nicholas.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, everybody. If you're tuning in, we're on TalkSport 2, of course, live exclusive coverage of this series of Test matches, 2020 games and one-day internationals in India. Stuart Broad's bowled very tidily here without yet making a breakthrough. He's threatened the stumps mainly. trying to get the ball to hold up a bit. Bolton cutters and come in with vigour. The advantages, I suppose, of resting people. He hasn't played for a couple of test matches, missed the second one in Sri Lanka and the first one here in India. Here he is now, bowling a very full ball again and very straight to Rohit Sharma, who doesn't get much of that as he pushes at it. Two very interesting fielders have been set at straight, silly mid-off and straight, silly mid-on, or short mid-off and mid-on, and they're by the side of the pitch. And what they're saying to Rohit is, we're going to give you lots of balls to come at. They'll all be pitched up, or most will be pitched up. And if the ball holds up in the foothold, so by bowling full, he's landing it in the disturbed parts of the pitch. If you do drive at the ball, you might just drive at it in the air. Are you prepared to try? So here goes Broad again. There it is again. They're just too straight, actually, and he's allowed to work it towards mid-on, where the fielding is done by Dan Lawrence. I think we didn't get a very long look at him. This has been a superb 100. You can't commend him enough for the control in it, for the quality of the stroke, for the balance, for the reaction to the early wicket of Shubman Gill, and then the two other huge wickets that went in that morning session of Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli, both to lovely bits of spin bowling from Jack Leach and Moeen Ali respectively. Fielders are ready. Broad bowls a little wider of off stump this time, and Rohit, rather than driving, actually just dropped his bat on it and took the single. He's been introspective, I'd say, since lunch, having been expansive prior to lunch, but not in a reckless way. Rohit has so much game, and he's applied it really well in this innings. We're getting an interesting shot on TV now of the pitch, actually, in a split screen, relating it to the first test, and this one's got many more mosaic cracks on it, so much so that you can't imagine it won't go square, certainly by the third day. It also looks a slightly different colour, paler, more of a Weetabix colour, the other one more like a field of wheat, I would say, but just in colours. So a little duller and greyer looking this pitch as Rahane goes forward and defends very comfortably against another good full ball from Broad. I described him earlier. He is wearing his white bandana type thing. He's had his hair cropped quite short. He's unshaven. He looks now as if he's sucking it up a bit, but he's got enormous stamina and great character, and they're two quite important attributes for a Test cricket bowler, I should say. 15,000 people in the ground as Broad bowls again a similar ball, and there's a good stride forward, and Rahane is able to defend in a very orthodox forward defensive stroke that you might have found in The Art of Cricket, the book that Sir Donald Bradman wrote many years ago. It was a coaching book, and it was all about that sort of position when you defend on the front foot. Nice bent front knee and head over the ball. Spectators meandering a little. The cricket isn't quite so enthralling as in the morning when they sat steady in their seats. Nicely turned away off very full length to mid-wicket, but straight to mid-wicket. So there's no run, and a tidy over from Broad, 157 for 3. The ball hasn't really moved off the seam. Hasn't done anything. I think Matt's with us. Matty, are you part of this? You are. Matty Pryor.
Hello,
He's
mate.
joining us for this test and was so successful with England in India in 2012-13, that tour that England won. Only the third time England had won in India after Tony Gregg in 76-7, David Gower in 84-5, and then Alistair Cook in 2012-13. Matty, good morning. Now it's bright and clear outside. Cold, but bright and clear.
Certainly colder than Chennai. Looks quite warm over there. But yeah, it was incredible experience to win out in India. It's certainly for, I think, any cricketer a proud moment to win in the subcontinent. See the Ashes away in Australia would be up there, but I think India is, I don't even know if it is a second. It's very much for any player to go out and win in the subcontinent, I think is a big challenge and a big achievement. So to be part of a squad that did it was fantastic, and ultimately it was born out of just attritional cricket, hard test match cricket, attritional cricket, batting hours and hours and hours, led by Alistair Cook, who maybe Jared can find out for us just how many hours he batted that series, but it was something ridiculous. And then in the field, finding yourselves in situations like this, again, just being really attritional and being able to build pressure, not just with the spinners, but with the seam bowlers playing a role as well. The ball reversing, bowling very straight, tight lines, fuller lengths.
Yes, you had two very good spinners. Graham Swan, a real standout. Monty Panesar, very good then. We've had a bit of a delay. The ball's been checked out, but it's fine. Here we go again now with Jack Leach. He does spin it in his hands. I've said it a lot today, but he just spins and spins and spins like a kid with a spinning top. And he comes again now, and that's beautifully bowled. Just a lovely flight. And Rohit has used his feet a lot, rather as Cherishwar Pujara tends to do, to defend, and he's also ready to attack if need be. 109 from 146 balls. His scoring rate has slowed up, but his impact on the game has increased. 157 for 3 at Chennai, the old Chepauk Stadium, and now the MA Chidambaram Stadium, and that one is bat and padded out to extra cover. Again, a big stride as he comes into the ball, and there's no run. He tugs on his helmet, wipes his brow with his thumb, just dampening that leather as if it's not damp enough already in the high humidity level here in the south of India, in Chennai. Oh, well bowled. That one spun, and only because Rohit is in did he play it so well. He kind of stunned it and released at the bottom hand, so the ball didn't go anywhere other than down towards square leg, but it certainly spun and bounced, Matt.
It certainly did, and again, all day it's been a feature of Rohit Sharma's batting. How easy he's made playing spin, or playing spin. I can assure you it isn't as easy as he's making it look, but footwork, soft hands, having a very clear game plan.
He waits again. There's a slip and a silly point in place as Leach bowls, and he's done him completely and deserved his wicket. Rohit's got very lucky. He did him in flight, he did him in delay, just did him in everything, and Rohit got a yard out of his crease, dropped his bat on the ball, and he got the thinnest inside edge that shot past leg stump, and he gets 2 runs, and he could so easily have either been stumped or bowled by that delivery.
Yeah, but that's the ball that... And I'd love to know if genuinely a spin bowler knows is this going to be the one that goes straight on or actually turns, because that's just gone straight on with the arm. It looked no different in the action or delivery, but the ball's hit the pitch and slid on.
Well, everybody talks about natural variation, and you can put everything on the ball and it do nothing, and you can put little on the ball and it goes sideways or swing or whatever it is. Such are the conditions. Oh, beautiful. The latest of late cuts. Delicate, delicious, and worth the 4 that it gets. 164 for 3, Rohit 112, but Ajinkya Rahane now to 31 and threatening.
Yes, certainly threatening partnership this. Fantastic news for India, but worrying for England. They'll certainly want a breakthrough. Both batsmen now looking very set, very settled, and it's shots like this that show it. Not that short, is it? Not even that wide, but Rahane sets himself early.
Matt, that could have been a film from the 30s, couldn't it? That really could have been Bradman playing the late cut with the footwork.
Absolutely.
And then he waits and waits, and then almost sort of drops the bat with the open face down on the ball.
Takes out the keeper's gloves almost.
Ah, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly right. Back he goes and drives, now more powerfully off the back foot, but picks out cover point. Moeen Ali, who tumbles to his left to do the fielding, and lobs it back to Joe Root. End of the over, and it's 164 for 3. Yes, your win. The interesting things about both those 2 wins, of course, India in 2012-13 and Australia in 2010-11, is that they came after such long periods of England not being able to win in either Australia or India. They hadn't won in India since David Gower captained the side in 84-5, and hadn't won in Australia obviously since Mike Gatting captained the side in 86-87. And probably, given the quality of the 2 teams at the time, you might say India was the marginally greater achievement, might you?
Yeah, I think there's a very strong argument for that, certainly. Playing against both teams, I think if you take the conditions, just how far out of your comfort zone you are playing in India and having to have success, not just playing, but have success in India, is, I would suggest, a bigger challenge, because it's further away from what you're used to as an England cricketer. So yeah, both, great achievements. But I remember walking off the pitch, having won that series in India, and feeling, okay, we might not get the plaudits that you get for winning an Ashes, because obviously the Ashes is the biggest thing, certainly for England and Australian teams and fans and spectators.
Moeen Ali bowls, and a little push through mid-wicket off a full ball from Rohit Sharma will bring Rahane back into strike. I'll run through the scorecard in just a second. I'll let Matt finish.
Yeah, but just as I'll conclude that, you look around the dressing room for that team that won in India, and we all knew what a special achievement it was and how deep we had to dig to get to that point. I mean, it's just mentally and physically draining playing in these conditions. So huge achievement.
165 for 3 here in Chennai. Nice flight there from Moeen Ali. I love it when he bowls and gets through his action like that. The ball seems to come out and then dip a bit at the end of its journey. Lovely bit of bowling, and it forces a little mistake from Rahane. Inside edges onto his pad, but it goes safely onto the leg side. England with a slip, a short leg and a short mid-wicket, but I think if a leg slip is coming in, or leg gully probably, and I think that's a good move, particularly as Moeen Ali tends to get good bounce, which is a favourite weapon of seamers. That's a forward defensive without any trouble from Ajinkya Rahane, who looks very comfortable now. He got an easy ball from Moeen Ali first ball, and he full toss, and he drove it through the covers for 4. Here's Moeen again. Down he comes, smacks it to mid-on. Who catches it? Does he know? It doesn't carry to him or something. He was blocked from our view. Dan Lawrence is the man, wiping the ball on his shirt. We can see his tummy, and we can sense his beating heart. Is it a moment missed? Is it a moment that didn't quite arrive? We'll look forward to the replay, which comes now. Down comes Rahane, and it doesn't quite carry to Dan Lawrence at mid-on. Wow. What a pity. And of course, the old thing in cricket, insult and injury coming together as one. Slightly short, back goes Rahane, drives off the back foot, punches, you might say, for 3. And Moeen Ali applauds the throw, but will be cursing the slightly short ball because he hasn't really been short today at all. It goes to 168 for 3, and it could so easily be 165 for 4. Such is the game of cricket, there to tempt you and curse you and excite you and infuriate you all at once. Little ripple of noise from the crowd. They know they've dodged a little bullet perhaps, and now Rohit, as just casual as you like, eases it out to long on for a single. End of that over. You might just be waking up. The toss was won by Virat Kohli, and it was a no-brainer on this surface that looks like it could really get dry and go. Burst a bit and certainly spin a lot. Rohit Sharma's unbeaten with 113 in innings of the highest quality. Shubman Gill LBW to stone. That was a good ball. It was picked ahead of Chris Woakes, no score. Cheteshwar Pujara, another good ball. This one from Jack Leach, caught by slip Ben Stokes. 21 he made. Virat Kohli bowled by an absolute jaffa from Moeen Ali. Did him through the gate, drew him into the stroke, and did the great man for no score. Just 5th ball, and now Ajinkya Rahane unbeaten with 34. So it's 169 for 3, and I think Andrew McKenna is it you, sir? No. Neil Manthorpe then. No, me? Still me? Oh, I thought I was getting instructions to move on. What a relief. It's going to be Gareth Batty and Darren Gough with me, but it's Jared Kimber first.
Just before, one ball before that, they brought long on in to Rahane. So he faced one ball with long on back on the road, brought him in for one ball and then floated one up. It's quite interesting the way that they're using long on for both different batsmen. So they're using it as an attacking option for Rohit Sharma, and then they're bringing mid on up for Rahane.
Leg stump ball that Rohit again works leg side, scoring a lot in singles at the moment, which shows he's in control of himself.
Because Rohit has been caught a lot hitting out to the leg side. Nathan Lyon got him caught at long on in the last series against Australia as well. So I think that they're thinking that he might get caught at long on, whereas for Rahane they're trying to play with his mind a little bit to get him to play that shot.
Well, at the moment Rohit's in control of it, Jared, isn't he? Because he's just shuffling down the pitch and knocking a single all the time, and he's actually using the position to his advantage. It seems to have calmed his mind. He had a horrible period when he was on 97. He could have got out 3 times. Anyway, there's a single there for Rahane, nicely worked onto the leg side again. Goffey.
No, I'm with you, Mark. He looked nervous, didn't he, going into the 90s? But since he's gone to 100, it's been a controlled knock. Him and Rahane building this partnership, rotating the strike, putting the pressure onto England and building a score. 171 for 3 here now.
Yeah, well, we really felt that's well played, actually. Good ball from Jack Leach, length, straight, and defended comfortably by Rohit Sharma. We really felt this session could be crucial. We sensed Rohit had it in him to play the innings, and maybe it is. Very watchful at the moment. Lovely orthodox set up, and he drives wide of mid-on, who was brought up for Jack Leach, not for... Oh, that's amazing from Stuart Broad, who throws himself inches from the rope, scoops it back. I think he's pulled it off. Brilliant return to the stumps. The sort of thing that a man who's just finished a spell of fast bowling mightn't be able to pull off a year or two ago.
Well, when you play one test match out of every 3, he's probably fresh enough to do that. If he'd have played back-to-back tests, he might not have been doing that dive there, Mark.
Good call. I hear what you say, and I think it might be a reflection on your past. That you mean that perhaps there were days when you wouldn't have managed to do that.
I would never have done that.
Thank you. Yeah. We got what we hoped for there. Down comes Rohit and defends out to short extra cover with Joe Root fields. England have been mainly good today. I was just saying, if you're just joining us, I gave you the scorecard. I wouldn't say Moeen Ali's been quite at his best with the ball. Jack Leach has bowled really tidily and smart. 1 for 42, by the way, from almost 17 overs for Leach. Could have easily had 3. On another day he might have done. Broad bowled tidily. Ollie Stone bowled very fast, touching 150 quite often. Back goes Rohit, hits off the back foot. They've had a sweeper out at deep extra cover the whole time, and so it's only a single. Moeen picks it up one-handed and flicks it in to Ben Foakes, who's been very tidy behind the stumps, but England have had to work hard. At lunch they were in the game or ahead of it. Now at 174 for 3, I'd say India were ahead of the game, Gareth.
Yeah, I totally agree, but credit to the England spinners. They're trying a few things, and Moeen Ali's previous over, bringing mid on up and sort of sit him on the edge of the circle. Moeen Ali loaded up for the ball that got skimmed to mid on, fractionally different. And when he loads up that way, sort of front on with his hands together, generally means he's going to be a bit quicker and a bit direct.
Gareth, can I ask you a question on spin? Because we're seeing now, obviously, with the rotation and Moeen Ali not played for such a long time, it's going to take him time to get into the game. Because he's been bowling in the nets, and that, well, he's been in quarantine for quite a large part of that because he got COVID. But how long does it take to get back into that rhythm?
I mean, it can depend. A lot of it is the external pressure that builds upon yourself. You know yourself that that's why debutants feel it a bit more. You get the wicket or you get some runs and all of a sudden you feel comfortable. I don't think it's a lot different when you're a senior player coming back in.
Moeen Ali will now bowl a full toss to Rohit Sharma, who thumps it on the drive to short mid-wicket, who fields it. There's 2 short mid-wickets now. That's a change that came... Well, we didn't see it happen. No, it's changed again. There's a short mid-wicket and a short square leg now, and a mid-wicket. So they're obviously asking Moeen Ali to bowl very straight, and he there brings a forward defence out of Rohit Sharma, who looks loose as a goose, frankly. He's really, really relaxed. Shoulders and hands, lovely control of the bat. Down he comes and defends. I often think that of all the players in the world, perhaps he has the most natural ability of all the batsmen, just pure natural affinity with batting. There are better players, certainly in terms of results. There aren't many better players to watch. Maybe he's not uniquely gifted, but he's extremely gifted. And now he plays the sweep stroke. Smashes it in the gap, dead square of the wicket. This is a masterclass. 4 more.
He seems to, every time he sweep, he seems to pick his gap perfectly. They've got a deep mid-wicket, they've got a backward square leg, but he seems to keep picking it. That went aerial as well, didn't it, Bats? He hit it up in the air, it wasn't in total control, but it's in the gap.
Yeah, and it's in the sort of area where he starts the sweep shot, he hits it just in front of square, but it ends up being bang on square. You almost cannot set a field for that. If you bring your deep square leg round to cover off the square boundary, then he gets it a bit finer. If you bring mid-wicket, he opens up a big gap at straight to mid-wicket. It's very difficult to defend as an off-spinner to a right-handed batsman.
Now just a little flick of the wrist sends the ball leg side. Moeen Ali just not quite consistent in length today. Probably overall a little full, actually, rather than short. But he hasn't been able to fire it into the pitch so that it's in a difficult area. He did in that ball that got Virat Kohli. That was something to behold. As Rohit drives out to wide long on, the fielding is safely done by Lawrence, and there's no run. The ball to Virat was something else, wasn't it?
Oh, beautiful. It's the sort of ball as an off-spinner you dream about, particularly to the Indian captain. Pitching 2 foot outside off stump, going through the gate and hitting top of off and middle. It was
genius.
A beautiful ball.
Yeah, genius. Absolute genius. End of that over, 179 for 3. And I was just going to talk about the London architecture, but I'll hand to Andrew McKenna instead.
Thank you very much, Mark. So the day progresses and we close in on tea. India winning the toss this morning, electing to bat. 179 for 3 they are at the moment. 106 for 3 at lunch. So the second session of the day, they've added 76, but without any further damage in terms of the wicket columns, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think just going back to what you said, Goffey, about players coming in and out, you can be really well prepared. They're super fit nowadays. The difficulty is you're practicing against England players. We bat and play very different compared with the Indian players. So actually getting a feel on your feet, one being out there in the middle, and two, how they're going to compile their runs is probably the hardest thing from an observation.
Totally agree with you, because we often say, don't we, about pre-season, you can do all you want in the nets, but there's nothing like being out the middle in the battle, in a game situation, to get your feet, to get whether you're a spinner, whether you're a batsman, or whether you're a fast bowler. So these guys now, it's just the modern world we're living in, where they're coming in with hardly any cricket and suddenly being thrown in the deep end in a test match in India. There you go, lads, off you go bowl at Virat Kohli.
Leach in, it's Rohit off the back foot, beats the man at cover, and it'll go all the way out to Moeen Ali, who is sweeping on the cover boundary and takes a single. Rohit goes to 124, that's 180 for 3.
Yeah, but Maddie sort of touched on it. This is where it's going to show the mettle of this England team now, where India are so much on the front foot and just knocking it with ease into the gaps. Can they hold the game and still manage to prize a wicket from somewhere?
2 slips for Jack Leach as he bowls to Rahane now, and off the back foot is Rahane. He finds Dan Lawrence at point and there's no run, just opening the face on that one a little bit. So for Rohit Sharma, there's a man at sort of silly point as well as Ben Stokes at slip, but for Rahane they're going for the 2 slip option at the moment.
I think with Moeen, I think he's bowled quite a consistent line throughout today. It's just, but Rohit Sharma's played him so well.
In goes Leach, left arm around, that one turns and grips, and Rahane is playing it deep in his crease, pushing it back down the pitch, no run.
I think that's the added advantage Jack Leach has. Last innings in the first test match, he bowled wider on the crease and challenged the stumps a bit more, which he's taken into this first innings here and bowled beautifully.
Leach in once again, Rahane forward covering up, no run.
I agree with you. I think Jack Leach has looked the most dangerous on here, turning the ball away. The odd one he's bowled a good line, hasn't he? Attacking line on middle and off stump, and it's turning towards the slip area, and he looks in the game, even though India are a decent score on the board.
Leach in, gives that one a little bit of air. Rahane drives into the cover region. Moeen Ali fields, no run.
But that's the potential difficulty of Moeen coming into this game. He's not had those cues from the first test match of what's going to work against these batters, what isn't. You're going a bit from memory, which is good, obviously, but then there's a little bit of trial and error out there as to what is going to work in these conditions.
Final ball of the over then. As Jack Leach goes in, and Rahane plays this very quietly out on the offside. Over completed here on TalkSport 2. 50 overs have been sent down by England today. India 180 for 3. Rohit has 124, Rahane 35.
Yeah, I'm with Gareth, you know. I mean, I think when you look at it now, 180 for 3, Rohit Sharma, let's not take away, he's played a magnificent innings so far for India. Always looked to be on the front foot, always looking to score and change that momentum against England, sorry. But when it comes down to Jack Leach, I think he's bowled quite well today, you know. I think he's bowled a decent pace, you call it direct, but I think he's bowled a decent pace. He's looked in the game for balls that are turning away from the right-handed batsman. And Stokesy, if you were to ask Stokesy at the end of play if he felt in the game to Jack Leach, he would probably say yes, without a doubt.
Yeah, I totally agree. The only reason I don't use pace too much is because it can be deceiving, and it's the sort of thing that everybody talks about, and spinners can get caught up. So you want to go for your box standard strong ball, and then can you just up it a tiny little bit if the pitch dictates, or just drop it a tiny little bit. I think he's been right up on that sort of top threshold of where he can operate. And with that, he's just altered his line, just the inside edge of off stump as opposed to being the outside edge of off stump, just because it's gripped a little bit. We've seen the surface disturbed a bit. I think it's bowled very nicely.
Moeen goes around the wicket to Rohit Sharma now, turning it in the onside. Rory Burns will field at mid-wicket and there is no run. So just varying the angle now. Moeen Ali has worked over the wicket, but he's now coming around. 3 around the bat to Rohit, but he clips it up to Rory Burns again, mid-wicket, and there is no run. There's a slip, a leg slip, and a short leg for Moeen. Gathers himself, gets in position. Oh, he gets one that bounces! And Rohit has almost played a one-day shot, guiding it down to third man. Ben Stokes at slip, took off to his right-hand side, and that ball will only just get to the rope down at third man. It will get 4 runs, but England for a second, and certainly Ben Stokes at slip, thought he was in business for a half a moment there.
The thing is there as well is about every England batsman, when they see the ball just slightly misbehave, a little bit of extra bounce, a little bit of turn, and this is what batting, when you bat in time, it puts pressure on the opposition when they see certain deliveries, that extra bounce, that extra turn, and it creates doubts.
In fairness, having seen the replay, it was a rather posthumous dive by Ben Stokes. I think the ball was already well past him, but he tries to stop it. Moeen Ali around the wicket and again goes full into the block hole, sort of Yorker length for the spinner on that occasion, and there's no run. So 184 for 3. Ben Stokes, I think, saw it was going to be a little bit short, worked out where the shot was going to be. Rohit on this occasion is coming well forward, covering up, and there is no run.
You think he's better coming round the wicket, Bats? He's trying this round the wicket to Rohit Sharma now. Think it's a good line of attack?
Get Gareth to expand on the advantages and disadvantages at the end of the over after this ball. It's down leg side as Rohit Sharma is coming down to meet him, turns it out onto the mid-wicket sweeper, who is Jack Leach, and that does complete the over. Rohit has 129, he'll keep the strike. Rahane 35, India 185 for 3 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, I very much like it because we've seen the ball turning from straight, coming around the wicket. You can actually be pitching the ball on off stump and still hitting the stumps, so you're bringing more LBWs into play. It changes the angle for Rohit. It's harder for him to get inside out on you, and by that I mean to get you into the offside. Still keeps your short leg in play because it is spinning from straight, whereas from over the wicket you can get outside the line, which we've already showed. And actually by bowling wideish, because it's turning, it opens up more scoring options. We've seen just a few go off the outside edge into that third man area, which are not particularly bad balls. It's just you miss your length fractionally, it opens up a scoring opportunity.
Does it stop him sweeping by coming round the wicket? Is that one of the reasons he's probably done it as well, to stop that scoring shot?
Certainly makes it harder, because if he misses, it's hitting the stumps, whereas from over the wicket he can get his pad outside the line. I very much like it. It's not a fashionable thing, and lots of people would say it's more negative and so on and so forth, but I totally disagree. When the pitch is spinning, I think it brings in more dismissals. And it goes back to what we've been banging on about. I think you can hold the game a fraction more if you hold your line just outside off stump, just outside from around the wicket. I think you do shut down that offside more than from over the wicket.
10 minutes to go then until the tea interval on another hot day in Chennai. The humidity is actually lower today than it was in the first test. First test it was around about 80%. Today only just over 50. Rohit forward to a new over started by Jack Leach, left arm around, and he just pushes out quietly on the offside. So a more comfortable 30 degrees, if there can be such a thing. Crowd in, making noise, enjoying the cricket, and they're cheering as Rohit goes onto the back foot, punches out on the offside. Moeen Ali will do the fielding a couple of metres in from the boundary rope, and they will take a couple. Rohit goes to 131, and that is the 100 partnership. 101 runs off 180 balls between these two. They came together when Virat Kohli was bowled by Moeen at 86 for 3. They went from 85 for 1 to 86 for 3, and England most definitely had a door open at that stage, but these two have put on 100 between them to right the ship, Goffey.
Yeah, come at a good time, hasn't it? Totally dominated by Rohit Sharma, his stroke play all round the wicket.
Leach in around the wicket, Rohit pushing quietly back down the pitch, no run.
My concern here is bats as well, is but the scoring too comfortable again against the spinners, and it seems to have, it happened in the first test, but it didn't matter because we won that first test. But when you've lost the toss and India are batting, trying to build a big score, we're going for too many runs, aren't we here?
Rohit waits as Leach comes around the wicket, just opens the face, trying to guide it towards third man, and there's no run. Intriguingly, the run rate is actually dropping. At one point it was up at 4.1, it's now down at 3.6, but of course they're now in, and it just feels so much more comfortable, Gareth.
Yeah, there's less risk being sort of shown by the scoring rate now. It's all simple singles and with the odd boundary.
Rohit off the back foot, punches, beats the man at short extra, but runs to Ollie Stone at mid-off, no run.
There's been no pressure built, and that is an issue. So it might be time for Joe Root to try something different. We saw when we toured Sri Lanka in the past, Ben Stokes coming in and trying the short ball theory and trying something different, and cutters and slower balls. So we might actually see a bit of that as the game goes on.
Leach on this occasion, that one turned pretty big, but from outside of off stump, puff of dust once again. It's through to Ben Foakes, and that will end the over. 187 for 3 here on TalkSport 2, so 7 minutes or so till the tea break. More thoughts from Gareth Batty and Darren Gough.
England were always going to face this in India if they lost the toss. India are a wonderful batting team, and even more so when you throw spin into the mix. They are the best players of spin in the world. There'd be a couple of countries who'd say hang on a second here, but I think consistently they play spin better than everybody else, and these periods in the game really show your mettle as a team and as a bowler individually. And can you have that personal sort of restraint to say, I'm going to hold that scoring rate, I'm going to hold it because I know not only for myself, I'm helping the guy at the other end and my team out, that then when we do get a wicket we might get 2 or 3, but the scoreboard hasn't gone too far and you can actually affect the game. And it's just, you've got to really, that first innings, just keep clawing away.
But when they get in, that's the difference, isn't it? An Indian batsman in Indian conditions, when they get in, they get big scores. Similar to what Joe Root's been doing in his last 3 tests, whether it be in Sri Lanka or India. And India do that on a regular basis.
I'm going to say they've got 3 or 4 Joe Roots, unfortunately, haven't they?
You could say that. Let's say we talked about it before the series. With Rohit, you get him early and you've always got a chance. He plays a few shots. But as we've seen today, I think it's been a controlled innings. It really has. He's had a game plan. He's stuck to it. And when someone's scoring the way he is, 131 not out of 175 deliveries, it's very hard to stop for Joe Root and the England bowlers. And it's a much needed innings for him, and it's a much needed innings for India when they've won that toss after losing 3 early wickets.
Yeah, this is a really nice challenge for England now. They should be seeing this as this is our litmus test now. Can we really hold our nerve in this period and hold the game?
Well, we've got a bit of a pause because Rohit Sharma's had to have some running repairs to his thigh pad. He's now done that, so he can get back in position, and it's a bowling change for England. Goffey hinted at we might get a bit of a barrage. That might be what we get. It's Ollie Stone who's going to come into the attack for his 9th over. England have got the man stationed out on the square leg boundary, slip, gully, point, and the short mid-wicket in place. So Stone's going to bowl to Rahane. Decent pace, decent line first up, and Rahane is in behind this, and there is no run.
Goffey field set pretty much as you'd expect. One slip, sort of a wideish gully, straight mid-wicket and deep square leg.
Well, as we saw in the first test, there's not many wickets caught in the slip cordon. So you've got to use attacking field placings elsewhere on the pitch, and that means whether you could even have a bat padding on the offside. If you're going to get a little bit of reverse swing, you could have again short mid-wicket, short leg, man round the corner in case you do bowl that short ball. Let's say English conditions as a bowler, and you can have 2 and 3 slips in place. Not in India, you can't.
Stone is on his way, and Rahane is solidly forward, playing it defensively back down the pitch. No run.
The one thing we've not said about this session of play, it's actually probably the best time to be batting. First day, middle of the day, when the sun's out, it's calming everything down, everything's nice and flat and chilled out. The pitch definitely hasn't misbehaved as much as it did first session. It's that last session when the humidity comes down. Will it just play a few more tricks, and can we basically hold the game till then so that the wickets count for double if the scoreboard hasn't gone too far on?
Stone is in once again, pushed out on the offside, and there is no run.
It's the ball as well. The ball's now 52 overs all. We're into the 53rd over. So England will be desperate to get to that new ball. It's not really gone big as it reversed. We saw it a little bit on the 25 over mark. And that's when you needed probably the experience of Jimmy Anderson at that stage, just to bowl 2 or 3 overs. Because it's at its most dangerous. That first couple of balls, first couple of overs, it starts happening. And in that last test, in the last innings, and Jimmy come on that over, his first over, and just went bang, bang, bang.
Stone in once again. Oh, that ball is grubbed. It bounces in front of Ben Folkes as it goes through to him. It beats Rahane, but stays low. And
Slower
goes through
ball,
to
was
the
it,
keeper.
Macca? Was it a slow ball? Might have been a slow ball. A bit of leg cutter over the ball, put his fingers over it. No.
No, that has genuinely hit the deck
one of the cracks
and died. Well, that is about the first one, because as Gareth was mentioning, we were talking in the first session about the amount that exploded through the top. Far less in this session, but that one really kept down.
But that wasn't a puff of dust, that was a crack. You could see that generally hit a crack in the pitch, and that's going to be one of the problems we get here.
Stone is in once again, goes straight on off stump. Rahane pushing back down the pitch, no run.
Yeah, I think it was Brody pre-match that had said there's quite big crazy paving on the pitch, and when you touch the corners they move, which means up and down bounce, and we definitely saw a bit of down there.
Well, that's on these conditions. We often talk about it. When you talk about hitting that length and hitting it as hard as you possibly can, when you've got that paving stone effect on the pitch and there is cracks, that's when you are definitely in the game, and you start hitting that as hard as you can as a fast bowler. As the game goes on, you will definitely be in the match.
Stone to finish the over. Rahane plays from the crease line out into the covers, and there is no run. Ollie Stone has now bowled 9 overs, 1 for 25. India 187 for 3 here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, and his speeds are right up there in the 140s consistently now. How impressed have you been with him, Goffey?
Yeah, like I say, I've known him a long time, and I've always been impressed by his speeds he can get up to, and the way he's developed in county cricket since he went to Warwickshire. He's come on leaps and bounds, even though he's had a lot long spells out through injury. I think he is one. I mean, I think he is the third in line behind Archer and Wood of that kind of bracket you put them in. But he's definitely, with Wood's injuries and Ollie Stone's injuries, we need as many of that type of bowler as we can, because I always think it would be a good idea to keep rotating Archer and Wood. And if one of them's injured, they know now Ollie Stone can come in and do a good job, and he's definitely got pace and he's definitely got variety in his deliveries, so it's exciting times.
Ollie Stone in his second test match. Of course, he played against Ireland back in 2019. He's now got to go against India. Jack Leach to start a new over, and Rohit is solidly forward, pushing out on the offside, and there is no run. Slip, silly point. Joe Root in the covers, looking for a catch as Leach goes in. That one doesn't really turn, just goes on with the arm, and Rohit plays it from the crease, no run.
Yeah, definitely. That first session, almost every ball from a spinner that hit fullish of length disturbed the surface. We're seeing it happen less and less almost in this period of play.
Leach goes in, gives that one a bit more air up, roundabout leg stump, drifting down the leg side. Rohit will turn the bat in his hands to the leg side, take a single. 132 he goes to out of the 188 for 3.
And if I were the Indian captain and the coach at tea time, I'd be telling him, listen, we're 188 for 3. 1 can bring 2, 2 can bring 3. Make sure you go on and get a big score and totally try and bat England out of the game like they did us in that first test. You don't want to think you've got enough. You don't want to think, oh, the pitch is going to be a minefield.
3 balls still to England to put a second slip in, and Rahane gets the outside portion of the bat, but it avoids silly point and second slip and goes to point, no run.
Sorry, I'm talking as a fast bowler there. I want my feet up for another day.
No, it's like club cricket, isn't it? Bloke gets to 50, it's bat on, double it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the Indian changing room are saying.
Well, they should be saying to Rohit, I mean, you've got a great opportunity here to get a double ton.
On this occasion, it's spun past the outside edge of Rahane's bat. I think it came off his back thigh, bounces off Ben Folkes and is taken by the close fielders, no run.
And that's the reason why. Beautiful piece of bowling from Jack Leach. Perfect length, perfect line, bounced through the top, bounced too much, almost hit him on the back right hip and gone through to that gully catcher. Beautiful piece of bowling.
Final ball before tea then. Leach around the wicket, hurries on to Rahane, pushes into the covers. They will take one. Lawrence can't do anything about that, and the single is completed. Rahane goes to 36. Rohit Sharma is 132 not out, and India are 189 for 3. So in the session, they've put on 83 runs without losing a wicket. They resumed after lunch, 106 for 3 with Rohit 80, Rahane on 5. But at tea, Rohit Sharma's taken his score on to 132. Ajinkya Rahane, almost quietly, almost unnoticed in many respects, has gone to 35 from 79. 5 fours for Rahane. Rohit Sharma's hit 16 with 2 sixes. And the bowling figures for the England bowlers. Stuart Broad, 8 overs, 2 maidens, 0 for 30. Ollie Stone, 9 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 25. Jack Leach has now bowled 20 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 48. Ben Stokes, 2 overs, 0 for 16. Moeen Ali, 15 overs, 1 for 70.